Good afternoon. My name is John McGuirk. I'm a member of Ten and Spin. And this is a webcast being produced by Ten and Spin in the Fact Centre in Wood Street in Liverpool. Today's project is about dancing, which is, I think at the moment, is a very popular theme with the dance shows on television, Strictly Come Dancing. I think it's starting to catch on. We have a panel here. It's the three beautiful girls. Karen Gallagher. Karen is a director of Merseyside Dance Initiative. Alongside her is Lisa Dowler, who's a community dance artist. And on the end, our lovely Mandy, one of our close associates. Mandy Tickle, she's the marketing coordinator with Karen. Karen, first off, could you give the people, MDI, could you give them a brief description of what's involved in what you do? It's a dance academy. What is involved?
That's right. It's known as a Regional Dance Development Agency, and it's basically set up to kind of do three things, really. To develop participation with lots of different types of people, regardless of your age, ability, etc. And we run kind of social classes in our studios, and we do a lot of outreach work with different types of community groups. But we also look at the art form itself, so we do a lot of work with professional dance artists in the city, across the region, across the country, and also in Europe as well. And we also look at producing work, so we try to set up projects where people who are involved can actually perform. So we have a festival that people perform in, and we commission work by artists to make new work. So we try to do a lot of different things with a lot of different types of people, really. And we're funded by the Arts Council of England North West and the Liverpool Culture Company predominantly. And then we do a lot of fundraising, as we all have to do with small arts organisations, to ensure that we survive year on year.
Well, dancing covers a very wide spectrum, and you've got to go back 50, 60, 70 years when ballroom dancing itself was a very, very popular concept. Ballroom dancing was as popular amongst youngsters as, well, more popular than drinking and pubs and things like that, because there was many dances. Do you cover the whole spectrum? Is it, you go right back, or is it up to a certain date? Is it modern dancing?
No, we don't cover all spectrum. I don't think we could as an organisation. We try to link up with other partners who maybe do other types of dancing, but predominantly our main dance style is contemporary dance, isn't it, Lisa? And we do some social dancing like break dancing and street dancing and hip hop. We also have introduced ballroom dancing and Argentinian tango recently. So we try to provide some opportunities, but our core amount of work is done through sort of contemporary dance, new dance, modern dance, as you'd know it.
Yeah, well, that'll be popular because it is deeply embedded into cities now with the younger generation. But sticking with the ballroom dancing, what do you think the television show Strictly Come Dancing is having an impact? Because they have an audience, I believe, of somewhere around 11 million people watching everything. Now, they can't all be old-timers, can they? So do you think it is having an impact, is it?
Oh, I think it's having an impact, most definitely. Both in terms of a marketing tool, so that people can actually see dance happening regularly in their kinds of living rooms. Because what tends to happen with dance is I think it does become a little bit isolated. I always find it's a bit of a Cinderella of the dance forms. If we look at, what we have just in our city alone, there's a lot that happens in terms of theatre and music and live art and visual art. But dance doesn't always get, I think, the endorsement that other art forms get. So I think opportunities like Strictly Come Dancing, Strictly Dance Fever, etc., I think ensure that it's in your home and you're getting to see it more often, and hopefully it provides an opportunity for people to think, oh, I'll have a go at that. Maybe it was something that I really wanted to do, didn't think I could do it, but you're seeing these people who are doing it from scratch, and hopefully it's developing that opportunity. And I think more and more agencies like MDI are also beginning to bring maybe some more ballroom into their provision that they offer. But for us, it's about kind of how we use dance to develop people's confidence, self-esteem, well-being, as well as obviously developing artists for the future to perform their work in various venues. So what we do is quite broad-based, and we do work with young people. And as Lisa can tell you, we do work with older people, because Lisa runs our 50 Moves class at the studio, which involves... Who attends your class, Lisa?
It's aimed at over 50s, but mostly the over 60, normally retired women. And we do a lot of release-based techniques, so looking at the anatomy and creating phrases that are fluid and controlled, so kind of releasing tension in the body and encouraging them to feel their body in a different way, so feel positive and comfortable and enjoy moving in their body. And sometimes we do a bit of salsa as well, just for fun factor.
Thanks for that. Mandy, your part in the procedures, marketing coordinators, what does that involve? Is it contacting people, bringing them into the,
It's
making them aware of what's happening?
It's bits of everything, really. It's marketing, it's communications, it's networking.
Yeah.
As Karen pointed out, that dance is probably the Cinderella of all the arts. So it's difficult to try and get across the message that dance is for everyone. Dance is the one art form that everyone throughout their life does, right from being a child through to, you know, to older years. So I think what's difficult is trying to get across the message that dance is an accessible art form. And that's basically what my job is to get that across there, is to get us out there, one, you know, in the sort of art, the general art forms like the media and things like that, but also just to the individual, to the community members, just to let them know that it's okay to come along and dance and celebrate it in that way.
Well, personally, I think it's a brilliant initiative because dancing, like drinking and other things, it does involve the masses, doesn't it? It's a thing that's reachable by everybody, so everybody can take part in dance at all different levels. And just one last word on the television show. I should imagine that people would normally be fazed if they saw ballroom dancing performed by professionals. They say, I could never do that. But then they realised that there's some people in those shows that have never danced before, and yet they're doing it like experts. Karen, how did your particular organisation start? When did it evolve with it?
It started in 1993, and we're kind of known as a kind of framework of dance development. So in every region, in every throughout the UK, there are kind of regional and national dance agencies, and they're set up, as I said before, to kind of develop participation and production and promotion. And in 1993, it was realised that actually Merseyside didn't have any infrastructure at all. So we were growing. The dance community was growing in terms of, you know, Lipper had started up. We had John Moore's University, etc. But we didn't have any kind of continuity for those young people who were training in dance to kind of further their career. And so MDI came about as a kind of consultation with the local authority and the North West Arts Board, as was, to kind of say, well, how can we develop a kind of agency for our region? And it was set up then as a pilot idea to just investigate, you know, sort of how much dance was out there and what could we contribute as an organisation to develop. And then I came on board in 1994, so I was the first full-time director, and for a couple of years there was just me in a tiny little office trying to do everything. And now we're 8 staff and we've kind of got 2 studios, so we're building and growing. There's still a lot to do, but hopefully we're getting there slowly but surely.
So you're happy with where it's evolved? Are you happy with the situation at the moment? You've come on, are you satisfied with you?
I think there's some girls that we've met, but it has been a slow process. And, you know, I think in terms of resources, we're always looking, you know, for more funds to kind of continue and sustain the organisation in terms of being able to staff the organisation. Because, again, dance is quite an expensive occupation and an expensive product to kind of sell and to present, and so you're constantly trying to find partners in terms with different venues, with different organisations, with different people to get them on board. I mean, for us, ideally we would love a whole new dance venue. You know, there's no venue for dance particularly. If you look in, say, Manchester, you've got the Lowry, etc., where, you know, they're constantly programming dance. Now for us, we don't have that in Liverpool, so people are not actually seeing dance on a regular basis in the theatre. And I think, as we were saying before about Strictly Come Dancing, it's there in your living room, you're getting to see it. People haven't got that choice in Liverpool to go, oh, I'll go and see a dance show, a dance performance on a regular basis, because it doesn't exist. So there's still a long way to go, and I think there's still a lot of challenges for us ahead.
Well, again, I remember, again, when I was young, dancing was dancing and drinking was drinking. The two didn't go together. You went to a dance hall and we went, as you say, strictly for dancing. And drink wasn't involved. You know, you might be lucky to get out, the pubs are shut, but you'd have to be lucky because usually they close the doors. Well, I'm surprised they've been going since 1993. That's a long time, which relates back to Mandy and the market. Like, this show myself is to reach people out.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point of why we're here,
yeah,
really,
well,
to let people know sort of, you know, what we're doing and where we are. Yeah. And as an organisation, you know, Mandy's been with us about a year, and that post was set up through a grant that we received. And again, Mandy's post is only part-time, Lisa's post is only part-time, so there's only so much we can do with the resources that we have, really.
Well, you better open up early in the morning because you might have queues for them. I've started Well, I know this for a fact. Does dance have a long history in Liverpool, to your knowledge?
Absolutely. I mean, as you were saying yourself, you know, you were always going out socially to the dance halls, and there's always been a history of people dancing in this city. From our point of view, in terms of the work that we do, sort of through maybe contemporary dance and other forms of dance, definitely since the 70s there was a real kind of boost in terms of developing dance companies such as Spiral Dance Company. There used to be a company called Delado, African Dance and Drumming Company. So I'd say from the 70s it's been really taking off in terms of the genre of work that we work in, and we're trying to grow that as much as we can by working with, you know, sort of graduate artists, and trying to maintain that people who are kind of training in the city remain in the city.
Thanks. Lisa, your part as a community dance artist. Does that involve travelling, or is it strictly are you local? Do you get about like?
I do a lot of outreach, yeah. Within Merseyside though, I don't tend to do any outside of Merseyside for MDI. But yeah, I do classes that are based in our studio on Hope Street, but I also do outreach sometimes in schools, sometimes in community settings. So yeah.
And is that individually or as a group? Are you part of a group?
Are you thinking more as a performer?
Yeah.
My performance work I kind of do separately from MDI. So my role within MDI is more about teaching, delivering dance to different groups.
Lovely, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Karen again, what was your first experience with dancing? I mean, you're only about 19, so...
Oh, I am, I'm a baby. My first experience of dancing, I think, was when I was about 3. And it was Christmas. And I got the old brush out, you know, and thought I was Shirley Bassey.
Who didn't?
And that was it. Me and Shirley Bassey. I was Shirley Bassey. So I think that was my first experience of dancing.
No, I know you remind me of this.
Shirley Bassey.
Yeah. What's the distinction, if any, between yourselves and Dance Northwest?
Okay. Dance Northwest is that, you know, we talked about infrastructure and there's all different types of organisations, and MDI is a regional dance agency because it's predominantly all about work in Merseyside across the boroughs. With Dance Northwest, that's what's known as the National Dance Agency. It's based in
big area,
it's based in MDI, but it's looking across the whole of the region of the Northwest, and it links up with other national partners across the country, but its work is predominantly about the art form and artists. So Dance Northwest doesn't tend to do participation work, doesn't work within communities. It tends to work with dancers, choreographers, and develop opportunities for them to research and perform their work.
You just answered the next question. What type of groups do you work with? Are they really varied? Are they within a certain pattern?
Yeah. Well, we have 3 dance artists, community dance artists, and for example, just myself, at the moment I'm working with asylum seekers, over 50s, pregnant women, an adult contemporary class, children with disabilities. So my work's quite varied in what groups I work with. Claire Quinn, our other dance artist, does a lot of developmental movement play with babies and very young children, early years work, and we've got Maxine Brown, who does a lot of African and Caribbean dance as well. So we try and reach as many people as we can with different dance forms and different styles in different settings.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Asylum seekers, would you find that there's people bring another variety of dancing onto the scene like that you possibly wouldn't have known of, their own, they bring with them from their own countries, and do they sort of get us involved with our style of dancing, or did they just fall into English style of ballroom dancing and other dancing? Do they bring a specific? I mean, you can have people from Greece who have a style of dancing different to ours. We only see it on the television, or when you go to Greece, do they bring that with them? Some of them here.
Some of the people who come to our groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we were working on a creative project, so if we were working on a performance project, we can draw on their experiences then, and yeah, very much they can bring their own influences. Which can be put into a piece, yeah.
And also as part of that, we've had a number of asylum seekers who've settled in Liverpool who were artists in their own right. So we've got a Caribbean teacher and a number of African drummers, etc. So we do use their expertise as and when. I think when you're introducing dance to a group, we obviously have a specific way of working, but that doesn't then negate those other experiences being part of that process when you're working with that group and you're trying to build on their experiences and also then hopefully grow their confidence.
Yeah. Well, that's got to bring a bit of excitement to the project. There's got to be a change from the old-fashioned waltz and that kind of thing. Mandy, specifically, how do you market the work? How do you go about it? How do you get out? How do you reach people? How do you?
Oh, again, it's difficult because, again, as we spoke about before, it's whether or not the market's ready to hear the information that you're trying to give. So, I mean, just using what Karen and Lisa have been talking about, the excitement and the variation in dance and the different styles and the different groups that we work with, it's targeting the marketing towards those groups. You wouldn't do one kind of cover-all marketing for the organisation. So, say for example, I mean, we have festivals that we run, say for example, the Cultivate Festival that we run, which is our biennial kind of African and Caribbean festival. That would go to specific groups, it would go to a specific targeted demographic. I hate to use that marketing word, but a demographic. So you wouldn't necessarily market it to the same people who are, for example, going to see exhibitions at the Open Eye Gallery or here at FACT. It would be a very different group of people that you'd be marketing it to. But also trying to bring in new audiences as well, because that's something that Karen and I are working on at the moment, is audience development and trying to just establish dance in Liverpool as a viewing, as a excuse me, as a kind of art form to be viewed.
But we also do things like, obviously, we've got the website and we've got the newsletter and we do press releases and things like that to get the information out there, and we work with other partners to kind of be involved in all of their publicity that goes out. So we do some through publicity, some through word of mouth, some through the tenant spin. So it's just trying to find lots of different ways, isn't it, of contacting people.
It's kind of trying to be sort of literal but lateral at the same time, thinking of things, because there are the generic kind of things that you do, like the website and other forms. But trying to think creatively. I mean, we've got our dance festival Leap next year, which is a 2-week festival of dance, contemporary dance in Liverpool. And it's trying to think creatively of how to market that to the audience, how not to keep it staid and the same old press releases and the same old flyers going out. So there's a development plan that Karen and I are drawing up together, which is using the actual companies to market themselves, having them sort of give interviews on the radio, having them create their own publicity. So there's many different ways that you can market. It's just trying to think creatively.
Great. Just quickly, is there any variation in relation to the ages of people who are interested in dancing at the moment? Do you find is there variety, and even variety across, or is there older, younger, middle-aged? What is the youngest there?
We're kind of cradle to grave, in some ways. Well, that's it. Because what we have, in the womb, because basically Lisa works with mums to be. So developing opportunities, or she can describe what she does. So we've got that, sort of from in the womb right through, to one of our oldest members, I think, so far to date has been 94.
The Liverpool lad who's in the X Factor has got through to very nearly finals. I mean, when he comes on to sing, he basically comes on dancing, and it looks like way beyond his years, so he must have been somewhere to learn, mustn't he?
That's right. I mean, there's lots of other opportunities. It's not just empty. We can't say we're the be-all and end-all of dance in Liverpool, because we're not. There are a lot of, private dancing schools that people can go to. There are, sort of the colleges and universities have classes open to the public. You've got other organisations who are maybe not dance organisations but involve dance, like, Music Zone, like Hope Street. There are lots of other arts organisations in the city that will probably use dance as a way of getting, to the local communities that they're working with.
They're already known as a city of comedians. Later on, it might be known as a city of dancing comedians. So
well, just to say, just a little note on that, actually, because one of the dancers who's coming to Leap Festival this year is Wendy Houston, and she does it, which you like this one. She does a piece called Made to Drink, and it's all set in a bar. And she gets more and more drunk as she does the piece. Well, she doesn't really get drunk, but she goes into this whole kind of story of how she starts at the bar. And she also does a stand-up piece where because obviously dance is very much about gesture, so all of these different gestures she uses, she also talks, so she tells jokes at the same time. So she does actually make jokes and dance and move all at the same time and drink. Top tip, come see Wendy Houston.
All the best shows on television, says and bars. So you've led on to this question very nicely. The Leap Festival. Could you...
Yeah, I'll tell you about Leap. Leap started out before MDI, interestingly enough. It set up in 1992. Supposed to be just a celebration of the end of dance, I think, for Liverpool, because I think Merseyside Arts Council became Arts Council North West, and because of that all the funding was shifting. So I think we were given something like £1,000 and say, okay, you said that dance makes a difference and it's good, you know, tell us about it. So we set up this whole 3-month event which went right across Merseyside doing different types of dance, and since then we've just been kind of scaling it down a little bit. So now it's really focused, and it's a 2-week event, 2 to 3 week event every spring, every March. Takes place predominantly in theatres, so we use the Unity Theatre, the Blue Coast Arts Centre. This year we're using Lipper, we work at the Playhouse, etc. And we have different dance styles. A lot of it is contemporary based, but we do have some of the work that we'll be showing this year will be works with kind of African fusion with Western contemporary dance. We'll be looking at Bharatanatyam, which is an Indian style of dance, South Asian style of dance with contemporary dance. And we're developing sort of our community event, which we do every year, and that's where Lisa works on that quite a lot with the rest of the team, and we try to make that as community based as possible. So last year it took place at the Royal Court, and I know tenants came from Riverside Housing who we work with, and they were really impressed, and then since then we've set up projects with Riverside tenants to kind of take part in dance. So there's quite a lot going on. There'll be about 15 companies in 2007. It starts on the 1st of March and ends on the 20th of March.
Oh, great. Well, I believe that's thanks to a lot of hard work you put in yourself. There's a major conference coming to Liverpool. Is there?
Is there?
BDE?
Oh, the British Dance Edition.
Well, yeah. See, I knew, and you don't know yourself.
Well, because I'm just preparing for a conference at the moment, which is a Healthy Living conference that we're doing with the Culture Company, so I wasn't sure if it was that one that's happening in December. Yeah, we're going to be hosting the British Dance Edition, which is basically like a shop window for promoters to come see dance. So what will happen is we'll be presenting about 25, 30 companies over a 4-day period. It's non-stop dance, starts at 11, finishes at midnight, 11 in the morning, finishes at midnight. And it brings in around 400 to 500 national and European promoters to actually come see the work. And the idea is they see the work, they buy the work, and then that company is able to tour both around the UK as well as around Europe and internationally.
You must be a very busy woman, because there's another project you're involved in. Cultivate.
Oh, yes.
She never stops.
None of us stop, we're exhausted. We're exhausted. Cultivate, we started that in 2005, and I think Lisa was talking about Maxine Brown's our African People's Dance Worker, and that was supposed to be a 3-year project developed by Dance Northwest, and it was coming to an end in terms of its funding, so we were able to get additional funds from the Arts Council to do like a celebration of what had been achieved through that, and we set up a project called Cultivate. That's a 1-day seminar looking at the impact of African and Caribbean dance in the 21st century. And what we were trying to say is that our expectation of what we see in African dance may not necessarily be what's happening in Africa and the Caribbean. So we were really trying to contact artists and companies from Africa and the Caribbean to bring their work to Liverpool. So what we have is a 1-day seminar followed by a 3-day festival. And we set that up in 2005. We want to build on that, and we'll be bringing it back again in 2007. And Rachel Rogers, who's not here, our project development manager, and Maxine Brown will be leading on that project.
Thanks for that. Now, the Liverpool Biennial is coming to its end. Have you had any involvements in that? Either of you released it?
Not this year. We're hoping to next time. We're hoping to get involved next time. And we did have talks, but it was kind of quite late in the day. Yeah. So we're hoping to get involved next time.
We worked at the Biennial last year, because I don't know if anybody went to the Biennial and saw the Red House that was at the pier head. I don't know if any of you saw that. And I mean, we animated that with dancers, so we commissioned dancers to make pieces of work. So, and it was quite. We liked the idea that people just come across dance, so it shouldn't just always be in a venue. So the idea was that as people were just looking at this piece of art, which was a red shed, like a garden shed, that there was lots of dance going on in it. So we've kind of been involved in that way. And one of our local companies, Chapter 4, which is Ruth Spencer, Andrea Buckley, and Paula Hampson, are based in Liverpool, and they've got an amazing exhibition running in the Blue Coat Gallery, just down on Hanover Street, the display centre, where an artist, a sculptor, has been working with them, and she's created these wonderful figures of them dancing, and they also perform at the same time. Now, it wasn't necessarily a biennial project, but it was going on at the same time. It was linked to visual art, and so Biennial took that on board. So they've helped really to market the project that's been going on. So that's happening at the moment, and it's really lovely. You know, if you want to get to see it, there's some fabulous photographs, beautiful figures that can be purchased, some of them quite expensive, and then every so often you might just get the opportunity to see the dancers perform.
Well, let's say, anyway, the biennial is an ongoing thing, and 2 years isn't very long, so you're more likely to be involved in the next one. But do you intend to be involved in the City of Culture year?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yeah. I mean, we're known as a kind of key cultural organisation for the Liverpool Culture Company, and as I said earlier, they do fund us, so that, you know, we're working with them. The British Dance Edition will be one of the first dance events happening to open the year in January. Then it'll be followed by the Leap Festival, and Lisa's working on a project at the moment called Barging In, so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. And that will definitely happen again in 2008, I'm sure, but Lisa's working on it for 2007. You might be interested in Barging In.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a bit, Lisa.
It's
I'm
happening.
a tap dancer, by the way. No?
Oh, right.
That's all right, we can incorporate that. It's happening on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, but we're looking at the lock area at the Eldonian Village, and we're hoping to work with young people, but also other members of the community of all ages, creating a site-specific dance piece that happens on the locks, and then we're hoping to develop that into 2008 as well. We were hoping to work with the canal link from the canal into the Albert Dock, but I think that's been postponed, that actual building work, so hopefully we can do something else. But the Barging In project has happened generally annually, and it will be happening in 2008 as well, as July next year.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Your own opinion, Helen, what impact do you reckon the City of Culture is going to have on this city? Is it going to be as big as people make out? Do you think it's on course?
I think it's kind of on course. I think it's difficult to know. Other capitals of culture have gone about it very differently, and I think some of them have probably been a bit more low-key, and I think because of the amount of preparation that the Culture Company have put into it by having themed years, has maybe built up the expectation to be like, this is just going to be this wow factor. For us as arts organisations right across the board, we've been involved in doing things anyway, so it'd be a great opportunity to really profile the work that we've been doing, but also I'm sure we'll bring some really interesting, larger scale, more international works at the same time. But I would just hope that, you know, what's already happening in this city, because, you know, our city is full of international artists anyway. Just because we're based here and we live here and we talk with a Scouse accent doesn't mean that we're not international. And I think it's just about ensuring that we're all part of that process, both as local people and communities and artists. And, you know, I mean, went to the launch, and I've seen some of the ideas that they're putting forward, and they seem really interesting. And it's allowing us, for instance, in the Leap Festival to co-commission a major company called Akram Khan, which we would never have been able to do on our own. So in some ways it's you know, it's working really well, but I still believe there's some way to go in terms of consulting and working with the artists that are based in this city.
Well, I think any city that's had the City of Culture status all over, I don't think there's ever been any complaints. But I have heard it stated that this could be the best ever, and that's people from outside Liverpool. So when there's a study, and I don't see why that shouldn't be, because this is a very diverse city. This, you know, very cosmopolitan is there, all creeds, all races, everywhere.
Well, if you think about the way we got the bid because of the power of the people, and what happened was, you know, everybody got involved in some way. Now I think, you know, it's kind of faltered a bit in terms of taking on board that way of working, but I think it's coming back around to that, and I think it will be fabulous. You know, I'm very proud of this city, and I want it to be fabulous.
I made that statement to that girl sitting on that couch over there just an hour and a half ago. This city got the culture status not because of building, not because of its people, as allied to the infrastructure, the architecture, which should be part of it there. Right. I think, are there any top dance celebrities you'd like to work with?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Anton Dubek. Ballroom again, I'm only joking. What do you mean, who? You've just been talking about celebrity come dancing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Rugby player. Yeah. No, I think for me personally, if I could still dance, I think it would have to be Madonna.
It's on it. Yeah, well, why not? Yeah, that's why I don't know. I don't know what's the girls on
Just for the training, if nothing else. Oh, she's shocked. Sorry. Oh, just lost a friend.
She's entitled to her opinion. She's wrong most times. But by the way, this is the woman on the camera, so you know. Kathy, her name is Kathy. Could you give us? Could you give us a quick description what a typical week's work involves in your studios?
Do you want to talk about the studios? Goes on in the studios?
Yeah.
Typical typical week in the studios.
Okay, Monday we've got Parents and Tots. Monday morning for 3 hours, I think.
Mm.
Monday evening, is it street dance?
It's break dance, street dance.
Tuesdays we have after school club. So
yoga.
Yoga first, yes. After school club for children up to 7, I think. Then we have adults contemporary, salsa. Anything after salsa?
No.
No. Wednesday we have 50 moves, over 50s class. African youth dance, African adult dance, professional class in the other studio. Thursdays.
Hip
advanced
hop.
contemporary,
Advanced
pregnant
contemporary.
moves, so class for pregnant women. Hip hop. Fridays, contact improvisation, Argentinian tango, and breakdance.
And Wednesday's ballroom as well.
And Wednesday's ballroom as well. So yeah, lots of different dance styles.
They don't have sleep at night.
Well, we don't deliver it all. I mean, we do also have like a pool of freelancers
It's just an
who
idea of
deliver.
what goes on in
Yeah.
the studio.
Yeah.
Well, over the years, like...
Oh, sorry, I forgot one. It's quite an important one.
IMIC, just an integrated
Yeah,
project.
for adults with learning difficulties.
Oh, great, lovely. Well, over the years, like in different eras, different watches, there's always been a dance which has been more topical than others. Is there one particular dance today that is out there, leading the rest? Is the one dance you'd say is more popular amongst the people?
The more popular classes would be between the sort of 14 to 25-year-olds would be the kind of hip-hop, street dance, break dance. It's the one phone call we get all the time, you know. Have
Is
you
that
got
really
any
spin on the head?
spinning on your head? Is this
We've got a B-Girls group as well. We've got a group of girls who do that, just been to London to a competition, so...
Yeah.
But it's that kind of, I think it's because it's, you know, the stuff that you see in pop videos and things like that, that all of the kids kind of phone up and say, oh, I want to get involved in street dance, I want to get involved in hip-hop, so they'd be the most popular. But in terms of the sort of later, you know, older than 25 would probably be salsa. Salsa's quite popular as well.
Mm.
Oh, well, you've got to look after your muscles when you get starting at that age, don't you? You can't go spinning on the other when you're 60, can you? Wouldn't look right. Well, obviously, there are other types of dance which you're not used to, like the stuff on the screen behind you now. There's been dance coming up and all that, you know.
Oh, what's that? Sorry.
Could you tell us a bit about what you'd call, Karen, expressive dancing?
Expressive dancing is using your body. It might be through specific routines or through gestural work or through release work, as Lisa's been talking about, to develop maybe a dance that tells a story in some way, whether that's kind of a narrative or whether that kind of, you know, can be just a visual portrayal of something. So it's just a way of, in terms of the work that we've got here, in terms of sort of modern dance and contemporary dance, it is quite expressive because it's very much coming from the body. So it's not a set amount of steps per se. It's about the whole body working as an integrated unit, really.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to add to that, Lisa?
I suppose for me, I'm really interested in people bringing to my classes a bit of themselves and experiencing their own bodies in a different way. So I try and encourage them to go beyond what they would normally do and find ways of expressing themselves that are different. Because we're kind of in our bodies all the time, but we're not always really in our bodies. So I try and kind of really make them become present in their body so that they can move from the inside out as opposed to outside in.
I suppose dance should be expressive in any form. I'd just like to mention at this moment that at some time during the course of the show there'll be a short DVD come up on the screen. Also, anybody in the audience that would like to ask a question, there is a roving microphone. If you just put your hand up, you can ask the panel Don't ask me, but you can ask the panel a question about dancing if you wish. This may seem irrelevant now because we've made this discussion on it. There seems to be resurgence in popularity with shows like Strictly Come Dancing. But do you think Strictly Come Dancing has enhanced the very theme of dancing itself, you know, as it brought it to dance, just dance, as it brought it to people's attention, so that once they get involved, they'll dive in and take others?
I think so. I think it's a sort of step in. I think it's a step into what was probably previously to them seemed like inaccessible. I think it's made, as you said before, John, about the fact that people who, you know, some of the people on the show had never danced before, and now they're, you know, they're fantastic at what they're doing. I think it's just shown the general public that they can take part.
I mean, it's a particular style of dance, obviously, but you're absolutely right. You know, once the show starts, we do get a lot of phone calls saying, "Do you do?" You know, Latin dance, or do you do? So we might not do it, but then it's given, you know, we've suddenly found that they actually know who we are. They've suddenly found MDI because they were looking for dance, whereas previously they wouldn't have been. So the impact for us is that we do get more calls about dance, and we can try to find ways of, you know, being a sort of one-stop shop and providing them with information to find out, you know, the type of style of dance that they want to do. I think also, not just through things like Strictly, you know, if you just look at the television at the moment, a lot of marketing agents, you know, a lot of sort of, you know, like Nike or whatever, the big companies are using dance a lot more, you know, Orange, etc., as a tool to kind of work with people. So dance is getting out there quite a bit. And also, you know, central government are using dance as quite a priority area to develop because they see its impact on kind of health and well-being and the whole research that's going on into, you know, young people and obesity. So, you know, there's also all of those areas and issues to be dealt with, really, and hopefully dance can have a part in
one of the
being
interesting
involved in that.
One of the interesting things is, as Karen was saying, is that they're looking now into how Jamie Oliver changed school dinners. Is how they can. It's one of the things that they're looking at is to bring a sort of Jamie Oliver style program, but about dance and getting children to move and dance. So that might be quite an interesting thing. That'll probably open the door an awful lot for dance classes and for dance agencies as well.
Well, as Ozzy Hughes once said, I imagine thousands of people sitting on the couch looking at the telly going, I can do that.
Yeah.
I think we've got a question as a party.
Hi, I'm Angie. I'm the programme manager for young people at FACT. And one of the issues that I find difficult about working with young people, amongst other issues, is just about how to kind of get them in that crossover from doing something that they enjoy, like making films or making animations, to it becoming a real sort of, you know, profession for them. And I was just wondering what kind of support you offer for young people making that crossover, rather than, you know, they're just going to a dance class if they do want to kind of get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I mean, some of the work that we do in the studio is specifically can just be one-off. It's just about come and have a go. We then look at ways, for instance, through the community event, where we then begin to really, what's the word I'm looking for, structure the particular session so that they're working to a product. And because of that, there are a lot of different disciplines and ways of working and ways of looking at what they do. Obviously, we can provide guidelines in terms of, we have prospectuses maybe for other universities and colleges and introduce them to that. So there are kind of ways of saying, well, this is your next step and this is where you need to go on to. But we also have a progression through some of the work that we do. So at the moment, say for instance from the parent toss, some of them young people are working with the parents and now coming to after school. And at the minute, we were just talking today, weren't we, with Claire, and she said of a whole class, she's only got 2 girls dancing at the minute, they're all boys. And one of the projects that we did called Out of Reach, where we kind of just worked specifically with boys, we found that once we'd actually got them involved, they were really wanting to have a go, and they could see that dance could be something for them, something that they could do against football and everything else, and how they would move forward. And one of the challenges that we're setting ourselves is how do we make that transition, because what we find is that the great, you know, if they're dancing at primary level, there's not that much going on in secondary, and how do we kind of shift that? And again, Lisa, who's working in schools, can kind of maybe talk a bit about those transitions that happen with young people.
I think for me, like Karen said, quite often it's just that kind of social fun factor that a lot of people come to the classes for, but you do get the odd one or two where you kind of think, yeah, they could. And I think I've found that they tend to come to me and ask me questions of what could I do from school, or what's the best way for me to do it, whether it's doing a GCSE in dance, which is now available, which wasn't when I went to school, or not in my school, or going to the community college to do a BTEC. So I'll kind of encourage them to take it further in that way. And also I get adults who are coming to my adult class at the moment, who are, one girl in particular I'm thinking of, who's in her early 20s but wants to go back now and train. She's really talented actually, and she wants to go back and train. So she's asking me for references and letters to take her to, sorry, I can't see, to take to institutions that she's trying to get involved in. And we've also done kind of a bit of mentoring with students from LIPA and stuff like that, who are kind of, how do you make that bridge from being in an education institution to actually going out into the big wide world and looking for work as a freelance dancer. So quite often they have a lot of skills but they don't really know how to put them in practice. So whether that's coming in and shadowing my classes until they feel ready to maybe teach one with me supporting. So it's kind of, and I suppose the dance leaders.
I was just going to say there's two other things. There's the dance leaders course that we've just set up and begun to run in secondary schools, and we'll go out to youth centres as well, and that's working with sort of 14 to 19-year-olds and predominantly developing their leadership skills, but through dance. So providing them with opportunities where they can assist within a dance class to develop that. But also one of the other areas is, which may not sound major but can be quite developmental, is just taking them to see shows. So Maxine with their group, she'll tend to take them to see, you know, a performance of another company. So there's some kind of aspiration building, and they can kind of begin to compare and contrast in terms of the work that they do. And also, as I said, in terms of performance, the African youth dance group do a lot of performing, so they're constantly out there and being given that recognition to say, actually, we're quite professional, and trying to kind of ensure that professionality is running through. Just because they're young people and you know, and they're working at a certain level, it doesn't mean they can't be as professional as the professional artist. Does that answer your question?
Can I ask a question? What makes a good dancer?
Oh, hey. What do you think?
You're the professional, you tell me.
Depends on what you're looking at in terms of the work that we do. We do work with, in terms of the dancers that we work with and the choreographers that we work with, they are trained dancers, so they will have gone through a specific way of working, a specific anatomical analysis of the body and the way it works. They've also got to have a talent for it. It doesn't, you'll see some people who maybe go through three years training and there still hasn't got that spark. Sometimes it is about the X factor. I hate to use that word, I don't watch the show, but there has got to be that spark which can carry it through. For me personally, I think it's about having a good technique, an ability within the body to express yourself, and to have an ability to perform, at a particular level that can touch somebody. And you'll see that sometimes just in a nightclub.
Yeah.
The one for rhythm.
Yeah.
Or a presence for me. It's really about presence. So it's like Karen was saying, sometimes people can go to college for 3 years and they might not have this, but sometimes you have dancers who might not have the same technical skill, but I could watch them all day because they've got this amazing presence or this amazing way of being able to express themselves. So it's not always, for me, about technique as well.
For me, it's because both Karen and Lisa are dancers, or were trained in dance. I wasn't, obviously. And I think for me, the main thing for me is watching the dancers that we have coming through the studio or coming through the festivals is this great passion that they have. They absolutely live and breathe it. And it's not about, it's a kind of mixture of talent and the X factor, but also this great motivational sort of passion that they have that just leads them forward and drives them on to, to build better work and to just dance. And you can see it in their face, they just love what they do.
So motivation will sometimes beat somebody who's a better dancer but lazy.
Yeah.
Will be outperformed by somebody who's got motivation.
That's right. I mean,
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, because when I went to Lava many moons ago, I was taking on potential as opposed to kind of any skills that I had. And I think at that time, we talk about, strictly at that time it was fame. So, fame was out there and anybody could have a go. Everybody felt that they could achieve something. And that's how I started out, actually, sort of thinking, watching Fame and Second Generation on television and thinking, I'd like to do that. And so, I didn't have all those technical abilities that I was talking about, but they kind of saw something within me to then say, well, we'll take you, you can be on the course type of thing. So it's not always about having the expertise initially.
Dolly wanted to ask a question.
As I say, dancing's been around since the 30s. We had the Yanks over, you know, before the war, and, you know, the old Carlton and everything in our day, my days. It was always dancing. People loved dancing. But it's mostly our age group now. I find this in the north, because there are premises there with the wooden floors, you know, and that, such as youth clubs and the Eldonians. They've been going for a number of years on a Thursday afternoon, but they're not all local people. They're from all over. And a lot of people don't realise that. They say, oh, the Eldonians, that's the community. It's not.
No.
They're from all over. The same with the League of Well-Doers.
But you'll find if you haven't got if there aren't that many opportunities for that age group, people are going to gravitate, aren't they?
And our age group still come from the outside to the League of Well-Doers. They're not local people. So I wonder what the answer is. I feel the young has got to get involved now. I think, you know, the dancing for the young is coming from more or less come dancing on a Saturday. They're more or less looking at that. And another dance is the line dancing. That's coming in now.
I know, we were gutted today because we thought we were having a competition. We were having a line-off. I brought my jeans on and everything, especially.
They're coming with, they want to get the hats on them, the cowboy hats, whatever you want to call them. And you know, for the line dance, it's more like country and western, you know what I mean?
Well, you find now, I think, what happens, I mean, I know myself, I mean, you know, when I was young and go out, you could go out and dance. I'm not sure that happens as much anymore. You actually go sort of clubbing and you can have a really good dance. But I think, you know, talking to my nan who's in the 90s, and she's always talked about, you know, going to the Rialto and doing the rumba and the salsa and everything else, that there was a more kind of community aspect to actually dancing, and a lot of kind of sort of dancing together, I suppose, which is not the same. We've in the past, we've done a couple of sort of tea dances and things like that. So we've had projects on at St George's Hall and at the Philharmonic and the museum. And again, Lisa is involved in the Festival 50, which we've not mentioned, which again tries to link up right across, you know, the city in terms of different types of art forms for you know, sort of the older generation. So, but I mean, I think you're right about involving the young people. That project we had.
I think there'll be less crime around because they want something to do overnight, and they've got the youth clubs. And what's happening is the cuts. They're getting the cuts, so people have got to. If they want music, a group, which people like a band or whatever, or a group with the guitars and all that, they've got to be paid for. So they are asked to pay.
This is what we were saying earlier,
for a fee to go on that night. And that's what they're doing now. The League of Well-Doers and your Eldonians all have to pay a fee to go in. So you can't expect everything for nothing.
No.
Even though
but that's the whole point, isn't it? Sometimes, as you say, as soon as it's art, there's a problem if you've got to pay, but there's no problem in buying your cigarettes every day or buying your pint every night or going to football, which costs like £60 for 90 minutes. You know, but as soon as you say, oh, it's £5 to come to a dance class, everyone's like, oh, you know. But, you know, it's how people prioritise, and I suppose it's our job to try and develop that profile for dance to go, you know, come and have a go and make that maybe one of your life choices to actually dance more often. But one of the projects we've been working on was Riverside Housing, for instance, in Netherley, which we're setting up, and that's working with young people in the Millennium Centre and with their older community. So the young people are working together, you know, with a different generation, and we're just beginning to develop that now.
Okay, keep going. Keep going, get the young involved.
Dolly, tell them about when you and I were formation dancers. We were the champion formation dancers of Scotland Road, and that's 2 miles long. Oh, that's a lot.
All lies.
No, it's only a mile long.
All lies.
There's another question at the back of the audience there.
It was just in response to something you said. I'm quite interested in dance. I do a few types of dance, but I've never actually found anything that suits me at MDI. And just now you said about the older generation, you know, and it seems, you know, you look at the age thing, you talk about young people, you know, teenagers, and there sort of tend to be sort of groups. And it's a bit unfortunate in some ways that you say 50 and over, you talk about the older generation, because, you know, it's a big, I mean, I'm just 51 and it's sort of grouping over.
Hold your mic up a bit, love.
You know what's relevant to different sort of age groups. You say the young people, you know, teenagers do hip hop and all this. You know, and you just said about the older generation, 50 and over, you know, and it seems that there's a bit of a gap in the market for you know, for sort of 40-something and 50-something people, you know.
Yeah, good
Because
point.
you don't always want to be lumped together. I know it sounds ageist in a way, really.
No, not
but
at all.
You know what's appropriate to do. You know, and I wouldn't go to a sort of breakdance class. And you think really that you say 50 and over, but you said yourself it's sort of mainly sort of people over 60. And so there seems to be a sort of a bit of a gap in the age group, sort of 50, you know, 40 and 50-something people.
I think my adult contemporary class, I mean, it depends if it's the dance style that you're interested in, because my adult contemporary class is that age group really, I'd say between 20 and up to 60, you know, and also we have a contact improvisation class that's just started on a Friday night, and that's really kind of, you know, 20 to 50 as well. So that's quite a broad, but that depends on whether it's a dance style that you're interested in or if you wanted a kind of street dance class for that middle. What kind of dance style is it that you're interested in?
I mean, it's just basically I'm not very good at dancing, you know, but I do like it, you know. So
Yeah.
when you think of a contemporary class, I tend to think it's people that are, you know, quite talented sort of thing. Going
No,
to
mine's
something like
open.
that, you know.
Mine's an open class.
Yeah.
There's an advanced contemporary, but there's an open one, and that can be. I do get a few professionals come, but it can literally be people walk off the street who've never done. I've got a guy who comes, Andrew, and he's been coming now for about 12 weeks, and he must be like 40, and he'd never done any dance in his life. And he said he plays tennis, and he had a lot of stiffness in his shoulders, and he said, I want to sort my shoulders out. And he came for that reason, and he really enjoys the warm-ups and the stretching and the kind of the ease that we create in the body before we do the movement. He's not really that bothered about the movement phrases, but he's found it's really helped with his tennis. And he comes to the contact improvisation class now as well, which is improvised movement. So it's about moving from where you want to move to where you want to move. It's not about doing specific.
I looked at the programme recently, and I don't think the contact improvisation was on it, was it? You know, it's
maybe not. It's a new class. It's only I think we've done 5 weeks, so it's on a Friday evening, 7 till 9, and it's not on this week, but it is next week.
I think the other thing as well is please just feed back to us as well.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the situation that you're in, then let us know.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that we have got caught in a bit of branding, per se, in terms of, you know, sort of 50-50 moves, and I think it's something that we've kind of joined up with other people's and other organisations, and I appreciate what you're saying, because mostly in those terms of 50 moves, it does tend to be about 65 plus is the age range that comes even for Festival 50, and I think there is definitely, you know, an actual gap. There is a project called Growing Older Disgracefully, which is the gods, and they're for dancers over 40, but again, it tends to be predominantly sort of 50-60 years old. It was a project MDI initiated a long time ago, but it's a completely independent group now, and that meets at John Moore's.
I'm already in that club. We've got I think we're just about 7 or 8 minutes left, or something like that. But there's one question we'd like to get in first, and it pertains both to young and old anyway. There's in the news a lot lately are obese children, and a lot of the reasons given is sitting playing computers. I think it would be fairly obvious dancing would help those children, wouldn't that chance? And plus, as I say, older people keeps you fit. It's a form of keeping them fit, like cycling and other things. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what I was saying before is there's been a whole sort of, you know, issue coming from government at the minute where they're backing a lot of kind of dance development as becoming an integral process within education. I mean, I think what we struggled with initially is that dance in schools tends to happen in the PE curriculum. Now, what you find is that at primary level, the teachers have to know, you know, sort of a bit about every subject. You will find that most teachers hate to do dance. We've been doing a number of studies, and they just say that we don't feel confident about teaching dance. We don't get any training in it when we're learning to teach, and so they always find if there's a choice, on which there is within the national curriculum, there's so many units you can do in PE. If there's a choice, they'll go with the football, or the catching, or the tennis, or the rounders before they'll look at maybe dance. So I think that there is a whole area to be developed there in terms of how we engage young people, not just through the work that we do, but through the work that's happening in the schools and the work that's happening in the community and the work that's happening at home. But I think you're absolutely right. You know, dance is an ideal way to get fit, and I think it's a really you know, useful skill to have for everybody. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and at different stage and in different ways. You know, everybody moves differently, and it's getting the best out of people through that.
Right, well, Gracie, you've just answered the last question, anyway, because do schools place importance on dance as an activity? I should imagine they should. We just mentioned schools, but...
Yeah, I mean, in different ways. I mean, it is growing and developing, and I think, you know, we don't want to be saying, oh, you know, I started with Dance as the Cinderella, and I still believe it is, but there have been kind of major developments going on, you know, both in the primary and the secondary centre. There's a definite growth, for instance, in young people in secondary school doing GCSE dance. There is a growth in, you know, performing arts schools, for instance, where the focus for their curriculum is about the performing arts, dance, music, theatre, etc. So I think it is growing, most definitely, and but I still think more could be done. You know, I think more emphasis could be made on dance as a career, even at that level. I don't necessarily think that occurs. I know, Mandy, I think you've attended a couple of you know, events where you've gone to talk about MDI, and Rachel have, where we've kind of sat in schools and said, these are the possibilities for you, you know, if you wanted to take dance up as a career, and not just maybe as a dancer, but maybe as a dance administrator or a dance, you know, dance company assistant or PR. You know, there's lots of other things that you could be doing, but getting involved in dance. And we try within our team to kind of move together maybe once a week in some way, so that we're actually all physically moving, even if our jobs aren't about being as physical as some.
Well, thanks for that. We've got a couple of minutes, so we have devised this heinous question and answer sessions to try and throw you through. So we're giving you 3 seconds on each question. Okay. 81 that you can answer. I'm just going to give you two themes of dancing, and you just pick one to me. Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly?
Gene Kelly.
Lisa's not. Well, she's shooting anyway. Break dancing or line dancing?
Break
dancing.
Oh, look at it now. Dancing on ice or Strictly Come Dancing?
Both.
Dancing on ice.
Neither.
We're not open this, you know, it's going to a psychiatrist. Dirty dancing or singing in the rain?
Dirty dancing.
Shows you what kind of man you've got. Grease or Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins.
Grease.
Oh, going back to your childhood. She's going back to her childhood.
Spoonful of sugar.
Chicago or West Side Story?
West
Side Story.
Foxtrot or Tango?
Tango.
Yeah, you all remember George Raft. Go on, say ew. Britney Spears or Ginger Rogers?
No,
Ginger Rogers.
Wayne Sleep or Lionel Blair?
Neither. Oh,
Neither.
Oh, that's a tricky one.
Neither.
Madonna or Kylie?
I've got to say Madonna, haven't I?
Disco or salsa?
Salsa.
Yeah.
Disco.
I'm glad you said that.
I like disco.
I won't tell you why. Dancing Queen or the Queen?
Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen.
Sorry.
Never heard of this. Birdie dance, oh yeah, or Macarena.
Macarena.
Yeah.
Birdie dance.
Birdie dance every time.
Yeah.
Macarena. I've got to be different, I'm the boss.
Rebellion. Blackpool or Las Vegas?
Blackpool.
Las Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
This is obvious. Peter Crouch or Michael Jackson?
Peter Crouch.
Michael Jackson.
Well, that's it. That's the end of the show. I always found that interesting. How many they're all will support so. We'd like to thank the audience for coming. We found it interesting. Get out there, get dancing. The minute those cameras stop, we're all up on the floor doing the military two-step. Oh, not the
Birdie
military
song.
two-step. Bird dancing. Thanks again. God bless and take care.
Tell them to throw the sticks away.
Yeah, throw your sticks away and get out
Just
there.
get
Let's
up
see
and do
it.
it.
Let's see it on the television.
I
I
won't
would
need the
say.
sticks anymore.
He was in our audience. Strictly Come Dancing. Take care. God bless and thanks very much for I'd like to thank the panel. Been very interesting. Hopefully have a lot of success in what they're doing. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to show you me chap.